Hi, this is Dr. Martin, and in this video I will talk about the joints. Joints are also known as articulations. They are functional junctions between the bones. Joints not only binds the part of skeletal system together, but also make bone growth possible. And at the same time, it allows the movement possible when the skeletal muscle contract. The joints can be classified in two different ways. If a joint cannot be allowing any type of movement, we call them synarthrotic joint. Let me show you how to write. Synarthrotic joint. It is immovable joint. If slightly movable, then we will call amphiarthrotic. And really movable joints called diarthrotic joints. All the big joints, such as your hip, right? Hip joints and or the shoulder joints, they are allowing and freely movable. Actually, shoulder joints has the ranges widest range of motion. This is the joint has the widest range of motion is the shoulder joint. It is diarthrotic type of joint. But when we look to structure, then we need to describe three different categories. The first category is fibrous joints. Fibrous joints have dense connective tissues, and that connects the bones. It has between bones in close contact. And for a good example are sutures. Let me show you here. The sutures you see between the bones of the skull, and here between frontal and parietal bones we have coronal suture. Between two parietal bones we have sagittal suture, and between two parietal and occipital bones we have lambdoid suture, and on the side we have the squamous suture. So sutures are fibrotic joint. They are immovable. Therefore, functionally they are synarthrotic joints. But when you look to the skull, there is one more fibrotic joint, we can say it, between the teeth, upper or lower teeth, and the maxillae. You see alveolar processes of maxillae and the teeth, or alveolar processes of the mandible and the teeth, we call gomphosis. They are fibrotic joints. They shouldn't be moving, so they are synarthrotic joint by function. Okay, there is another type of fibrotic joint. It we call syndesmosis. It happens in living being between the tibia and fibula of the leg. We have a membrane here, interosseous membrane. It allows limited movement, so it's amphiarthrotic joint, but it is by structure fibrous joint because there is fibrous tissue. And second category, by structure, cartilaginous joints. Cartilaginous joints are connected entirely by cartilage, either fibrocartilage or hyaline cartilage. Cartilaginous joints allow more movement between the bones than a fibrous joint, but it has less movement. It allows less movement than highly mobile synovial joints. We have two types of cartilaginous joint: synchondrosis. If there is a hyaline cartilage, we call synchondrosis. They connect. They are hyaline type of cartilage. The medium is hyaline type cartilage, and we can see the synchondrosis joint between the first sternocostal joint, where the first ribs meet the. Let me show you. First, here we go. First ribs meet the sternum. Here we can see hyaline type of cartilage. We call that synchondrosis. Another type of joint we call symphysis. It is the type of the cartilaginous joint, and you can see in symphysis pubis. Look at here. This is. Let me show you another model, and you can see here. And this is the pubic bone, and this is the symphysis pubis. This is made up with the fibrocartilage, therefore it's a symphysis. Symphysis pubis, to be particular. The symphysis type of joint or fibrocartilage can be found in between the intervertebral discs. Let me getting closer. You can see the intervertebral disc. They are again symphysis type of joints. We can call another type of symphysis kind of joint is found between the sternum, manubrium sterni, the manubrium sterni, and the body or body toward xiphoid process. We have another type of symphysis type of joints as well. Let's see. The third group, synovial joints. They are the most complex type of joint. Synovial joint allows the free movement, and therefore all synovial joints are diarthrotic. Synovial joint not only contains articular cartilage, which is the important part, but also a joint capsule. Synovial joints contains a joint capsule. Outer layer of the joint made up with a dense connective tissue, inner layer formed by a synovial membrane. Inside the synovial membrane, we have the synovial cavity, and it's filled with the synovial fluid or synovia produced by synovial membrane. There are 6 subtypes of synovial joint. The most known one, ball and socket type joint. You can see in the hip joint, you can see ball and socket. Acetabulum of the hip bone and the head of the femur makes the hip joint. This is ball and socket type of synovial joint, and allows 360-degree movement. And shoulder joint, glenoid fossa of the glenoid fossa of scapula and the head of the humerus, again ball and socket type of synovial joint, again diarthrotic joint. There's another type of subgroup of the synovial joint is condyloid or ellipsoid joint. It is found in the metacarpopharyngeal joints. Also we know as a knuckle. Let's see. You see the metacarps, and there are the phalanxes. Metacarpophalangeal, that means between the metacarps and the phalanges. You can see here they are condyloid or ellipsoid type of joints. Gliding or plane joints, good example, sacroiliac joints. That means sacrum and iliac, sacroiliac joints. Those are gliding type of or plane type of joints, and at the same time, second through the seventh, this was the first, remember we talked about it, second through the seventh ribs make a connection or joint with the sternum. Again, there are the good example for gliding or plane joints. And when we go on the side, let's go here, and you see all the vertebrae has articulation between each other, and those are again we call gliding joints. They are synovial joints. And another most commonly known joint is the hinge joint. A hinge joint found in the elbow between the ulna and humerus. Between the ulna and humerus, that is a hinge type of joint with X like that, right? Allows a flexion and extension, and so that's we call hinge type of joint in elbow. It is humeral ulnar joint, and between the phalanges, again between the phalanges, if you can see it, again we have hinge type of joints between the phalanges. And knee, another type of hinge joint, but knee is modified hinge joint because not only allows flexion and extension, but when you do the special position, it allows internal and external rotation too. So it's a modified hinge joint, the knee. And the pivot joint, and a good example is the in elbow between the proximal, radial and ulnar bone. We have a pivot joint. It allows to, you can do supination or you can do pronation. And another good example for pivot joint is found between the atlas with cervical 1 and cervical 2, cervical 1 and cervical 2 vertebrae. Again, it's pivot type of joint. It allows us to turn our head right or left. The last type of synovial joint we will call saddle joint. It can be found between the trapezium and metacarpal of the thumb. Metacarpal of the thumb. It allows you can do the opposition. Here we go. That's it. Thank you for watching.